Clear your mind. You've heard that 1,000 times. But here's what no one tells you. Trying to silence your thoughts only makes them louder. The harder you push, the more they push back. The Buddha never asked us to empty the mind. He taught something far simpler and far more powerful. Watch a thought. Don't chase it, don't fight it. Just see it rise and fall like a wave. That single shift changes everything. Today I'll show you exactly how. The Indian night is deep. Stars hang low, pulsing like breath. The air is thick with the smell of grass. Somewhere in the dark, insects are singing. The wind barely moves. Beneath a single tree, a man sits alone. The tree, the one that would later be called the Bodhi tree, was at that moment simply a tree. Its leaves shifted now and then, casting shadows on the ground before letting them dissolve again. From a distance, you couldn't tell whether the man's eyes were open or closed. He was simply there, not the stillness before a storm, more like stillness inside one. Something was about to happen in that night, or perhaps something was already happening, had been happening for lifetimes, and this was simply the moment it became visible. The way of fire doesn't begin when you first see the flame. The man's hands rested open in his lap, neither grasping nor releasing. The tree did not know what it held. Nearby a dog barked once and went silent. A child turned in sleep somewhere across the fields. The river, not far off, kept moving as it always had. It had carried the bodies of kings and the prayers of the desperate, and tonight it carried nothing more than the reflection of stars, indifferent and patient. Whatever was about to break open beneath that tree, the water would not pause to witness it. Siddhartha had come to that tree at the end of a long road. For 6 years he had practiced extreme austerity, refusing food, stopping his breath, punishing his body, believing that physical suffering would bring him closer to truth. His ribs showed through his skin. His face had hollowed out. Those who saw him thought, "That man is already half gone." But no matter how much he tortured the body, the root of suffering stayed hidden. The day he gave up asceticism, a village girl named Sujata offered him a bowl of rice porridge. The 5 companions who had practiced alongside him watched in contempt. "Siddhartha has given up," they said, and left. Alone now, Siddhartha walked along the banks of the Naranjara River, at the edge of a town called Gaya. There was a tree by the water. He sat beneath it, laid down some grass, crossed his legs, straightened his back, and somewhere inside himself, he made a quiet vow. "I will not rise from this seat until I have awakened." That night, something began to move inside him. First came temptation. What if beauty could change the way things look? What if power meant you never had to be afraid? What if sitting here changes nothing at all? Thoughts came in waves. Siddhartha didn't push them away. He didn't try to hold them down. He simply watched them. Temptation is here. Then came fear. Someone like me can't awaken. My companions are gone. There's no one left. What if I find nothing? He watched the fear too, without fighting it, without running, just watching. As the night deepened, the waves rose and fell. Anger came, grief came, nostalgia came, and each one eventually receded. Then as dawn began to gather, something shifted inside him. The thoughts were still there, but the self who had been drowning in them, that self was nowhere to be found. The waves were still there, but there was no one left to be swept away. The morning star rose in the lightening sky. In that moment, Siddhartha awakened. People would later call him the Buddha, the one who woke up. What he had moved through that night, later generations would call Shamatha Vipassana, in the Tiantai tradition, Jiguan, still observation, Ji, the practice of simply settling the mind's waves, Guan, seeing things as they are, from within that stillness. Siddhartha hadn't tried to erase his thoughts. He had simply watched them, and in the depth of that watching, something quiet waited. The tree hadn't changed, the river hadn't changed, the stars that hung above Gaia were the same stars that had always hung there. Only the one who sat beneath them had, at last, stopped struggling against what he saw. And isn't that strange, that the thing he had been looking for was never somewhere else? It was there beneath the austerity, there beneath the hunger, there even as Sujata's porridge warmed his hands. The door had always been open. He had simply for years kept searching outward. Now, he simply stopped, been too busy breaking himself against it to notice it had no lock. When you sit down to meditate and your mind fills with noise, the unfinished argument, the unpaid bill, the face of someone you have hurt, you are not far from where Siddhartha sat. You are, in fact, exactly there. The only difference is that he stayed. If someone asked me what this practice of still observation really is, I'd say this. It is not about emptying the mind. It's about seeing it. This is where many people misunderstand meditation. We come to it hoping to clear away our thoughts, to make the mind blank, quiet, empty. But that's not what this teaching points to. In fact, Buddhism suggests that the very act of trying to get rid of thoughts creates new ones. Another thought came, why won't they stop? And that frustration is itself a thought. The suffering isn't caused by having thoughts. It's caused by a quiet belief somewhere deep down that you shouldn't be having them. Pause. This is how Buddhism understands suffering. Thoughts themselves are not the problem. Anger, sadness, anxiety, we can't stop them from arriving. But we place a judgment on top of them. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm wrong for thinking this. Thought, then judgment of the thought. That layering is what makes the weight unbearable. The G, the stilling, is quietly stopping that layering. When a thought comes, simply notice. There it is. No verdict, no effort to chase it away or hold it close. Just notice. That's all. The guan, the seeing, goes deeper still. When you watch your thoughts long enough, something becomes visible. They're not rising from some fixed, permanent you. Anger doesn't belong to you. It appears when the right conditions gather. Sadness, fear, longing, all of them arise in the meeting of causes and exist in this moment just like that. Pause. Let me ask you something. We say my anger, my anxiety, but is that anger really yours? Someone said something. You were exhausted. You hadn't slept. An old wound surfaced. When those conditions came together, anger appeared right there. Change the conditions, and the same words might not stir you at all. Anger doesn't belong to you. It arises as a gathering of causes. This is what still observation illuminates. As you keep watching your thoughts, the solid, fixed sense of I begins to loosen. And when that loosens, so does the chain that said, this is how I must be. The Tiantai tradition formalized this practice in 6th century China through a monk named Ji Yi, but its roots reach back to that single night beneath a tree, to what Siddhartha discovered for himself. The practice of settling and seeing, made available to everyone who walks this path. Ji and Guan are said to be like two wheels of a cart. Stillness alone and you fall asleep. Seeing alone and the mind runs wild. Still while seeing, seeing while still, the path lives in that back and forth. A cart with one wheel just circles. A bird with one wing never leaves the ground. When a mother holds a feverish child through the night, she is not trying to make the fever disappear by force of will. She stays, she watches, she responds to what is actually there, not to what she wishes were there. That is Ji and Guan, lived without a single word of Dharma, and perhaps you have been that mother, or that child, without knowing it had a name. Let's look at how this teaching touches ordinary life, the kind most of us are actually living. At work, a deadline is closing in, things aren't moving the way you want, and somewhere in the back of your head, a voice keeps repeating, why can't I just get this done? When we're in that state, we're often not actually fighting the work. We're fighting our judgment of ourselves for not doing the work well enough. The hands stop. The self-criticism keeps running. From the perspective of still observation, it looks like this. A thought came, I can't do this. You noticed it. That's enough. You don't need to add, I can't believe I'm thinking that again, what's wrong with me? That's second layer. The moment you simply notice, the hands can start moving again. The energy spent fighting the thought comes back to the task in front of you. It doesn't mean everything goes smoothly, but there's less fighting, and that alone changes how tired you feel at the end. In relationships, have you ever had someone's words stay stuck in your head? Words that hurt you? Long after they were spoken? You replay them at 2 a.m. Why did they say that? Was it my fault or theirs? The questions circle without landing anywhere. Here, still observation asks, is what you're replaying the actual event? Or have you been adding new layers to it each time you return? The words were said once, but every time you replay them, you re-receive the wound, freshly. The one doing the hurting is no longer only the other person. This isn't about forgiving them. It's not about telling yourself not to feel what you feel. It's simply asking, what is actually happening right now? If anger comes when you remember, notice it. Anger is here. Don't try to dissolve it, just see it. The you who is watching is not the same as the you being swept away. That small distance, even just that, can slowly change the quality of your breathing. With aging and the changing body, as we get older, the body stops cooperating. What was easy yesterday is impossible today. From that gap, frustration grows. Sadness, sometimes a quiet, directionless anger. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Where does that thought come from? Not from the body changing, from an image of how the body was supposed to be, an image still living in the mind, long after the body has moved on. We hold the old self up against the present one and call the distance loss. Still observation begins by looking at the body as it actually is right now, setting aside the image of how it should be, even briefly. What body is here? What does it feel right now? Just that. The changes will keep coming. That can't be stopped. But there's a difference between receiving those changes as falling away from what should be, and receiving them as what is showing up here now. The weight of each is entirely different. In his late 70s, once described it this way: he had spent years grieving his younger legs, the ones that carried him up mountains, until one morning he simply sat and felt the legs he had, the ones resting on the floor, still warm, still present. Nothing had been fixed, but something had quietly been set down. That small shift, from mourning what the legs could no longer do, to feeling what they were still doing, took no special training, no long retreat, just a moment of looking, without adding a story on top. And he said that morning, the tea he drank afterward tasted different somehow, though nothing about the tea had changed. So, what can you actually do, starting today? Just one thing. That's all I want to offer. Tonight, before you sleep, just 3 minutes. That's all. After you lie down, before you close your eyes, sit up slightly, not rigid, just enough to feel present. Rest your hands on your knees. Bring one thing from today to mind. Just one. Something that stayed with you. It can be something difficult, something pleasant, anything at all. Once it's there, look at what's arising inside you in response. It might be frustration, fatigue, loneliness, regret. When you see it, just say, quietly, inwardly, "Oh, that's here." No verdict, no effort to make it go away, no voice saying, "I shouldn't feel this." Not tonight. Then, slowly, breathe out. What Siddhartha did beneath that tree was, at its heart, the same thing. Thoughts came in waves. He didn't fight them. He didn't flee. He simply watched. Even 3 minutes of that, repeated, something in the way you see things can quietly begin to shift. I won't promise it will make things easier. Thoughts will keep coming. The view might not change right away, but the small act of noticing, again and again, can open a tiny space inside you. And in that space, a seed of stillness rests. A woman once told me she had done this practice for weeks and felt nothing remarkable. Until one morning she caught herself pausing before snapping at her daughter, just long enough to let the moment pass. She hadn't tried to be patient. She had simply, somewhere in the dark before sleep, learned to notice. That pause was the seed, finally breaking ground. She wept when she told me this. Not from sadness, but from the surprise of it. The way goodness can arrive without announcement. It reminded me of the old monk who was asked how long it took him to become calm, and who answered without hesitation, "Every morning." Not once, not long ago, every morning. He didn't mean it as a boast. What thought came back to you most today? Did you try to push it away, or did you simply watch it? Either answer is fine, there's no wrong one. But in this moment, right now, just noticing that it was there, something may already be beginning. A monk once said that the first time he truly saw his anger, really saw it, he almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so small compared to all the space around it. That space was always there. He had just never looked. And you have that same space. Not someday, not after years of practice, right now, in the room where you're sitting, in the breath you're taking without even trying. He didn't do anything to create that space. He simply stopped filling it with his hands. The heart of Tendai Shikan, this practice of stilling and seeing, rests on something we explored in an earlier teaching, the quiet art of returning to this very moment. When Siddhartha met the dawn beneath that tree, He hadn't gained anything new. He had seen something. Something that had always been there, but invisible until that moment. The waves existed, but the self being drowned by them had never really existed at all. He simply saw that, nothing more. Our daily lives may not be so different. We try to quiet the restless mind, and it grows louder. We try to erase the thoughts that won't leave, and they hold tighter. Still observation offers a different direction. You don't have to make them disappear. You don't have to fight. Whatever comes, let it come, and look at it just as it is. The stillness is already there, inside the looking. The Bodhi tree wasn't a special tree. It was simply the tree that was there. Your 3 minutes tonight don't need to be special either. If in that time, your mind is able to look at itself, even once, even briefly, that is enough. Thank you for being here with me today. Just as the morning light doesn't try to chase away the darkness, it simply arrives, and the darkness is no longer there. That is all we are practicing, and perhaps as you leave this place tonight, you will notice something you have passed 100 times before. A crack in the pavement, the weight of a door, the sound your own footsteps make, not because anything has changed, but because for just a moment, the one who is rushing has paused long enough to see, and in that pause the whole world will have been waiting, patient, unhurried, exactly as it always was. Whose face came to mind while you were listening today? One story a day. In a week your words will change. In a month your eyes will change. In a year, the same world will look completely different.